So, I thought I'd do this video about why I think it's important that women don't vote. And that's because they generally, at least in the past since the 70s, since they were given their freedom of speech and voting and all that, they've voted for bigger government, which takes away the freedoms of men and consequently the women's freedoms too, but they don't mind as much because they're women, I guess. I don't know. Women don't mind being told what to do as much as men do. Not that the society doesn't function with men who do what they're told, because most men just do what they're told even when they don't want to, which is a good and a bad thing. It's good because you can get a lot done if you have men that listen to the authority structure in place. And there's definitely still an authority structure which I haven't probably uncovered completely yet. But what I mean is like at work, for example, you have the manager, and then you have the upper level management team, and then you have the CEO that visits with them occasionally, and then that all trickles down to the workers, or office workers, for example. Sorry, it just anyway. So there's definitely an authority to follow no matter what, and if you go to a city level, you have the sorry, I'm moving my legs. That's why I'm moving around so much. You have the mayor who outlines new laws if you need them, or keeps the old ones. And then you have the policemen and firemen who go and act on upholding those laws. And then you have jails and prisons that maintain the structure of those laws. So the structure that those laws provide, I mean, which you could argue is very degraded in the United States. It just seems to me a lot of people there's just an increased crime rate, which is sort of it's bad overall. So anyway, so the topic I wanted to go through with is, or not go through with, but the topic the topic that I wanted to talk about was degraded authoritarian structures within the United States. And by authoritarian, I don't mean Nazi. I mean there really aren't a lot of feminists and leftists talk about patriarchy, I guess, but there really isn't enough structure to argue for a patriarchy, in my opinion, because if you look at sure, when you get a 911 call, cops and firemen show up to put out the fire or take care of the crime, but at the same time sometimes they don't. Usually firemen will put out a fire if they can, but if they run out of water, which has happened in some cities before, not that it happens usually, but can happen, then they can't do their jobs. And when they do their jobs, it's very subpar in these very subpar facilities that uh, don't rehabilitate people back into society, but further outcast them from society and make their lives a hell of a lot worse. And maybe that's the goal, is to punish people, but at the same time, you could at least do it effectively. It just, but this also goes hand in hand with the lowering of the IQ of the population over time, which goes hand in hand with genetic dispersion of a population over time. But it's not all determined, so I'm I'm a bit of a determinist. I think what you're born with is mostly what you got. But at the same time, I'm also a Catholic, so I know that there's free will and you can choose different outcomes for yourself. Sometimes. I mean, not all the time. Sometimes people choose for you. But for the most part, you can make some kind of a choice no matter what. Anyway, overall, I guess the biggest point I want to make in this video is that we're on a steady decline in the United States, like a degradation of the society. So the society will die eventually, probably in 20 or 30 years. So I'll be an old man by the time that happens. I know that because I've read about it. And I've also just done the math in my head, just try to figure out how much more time I've got before the civilization collapses. But anyway, that's kind of a big topic to bring up, but kind of scatterbrained right now. I was just playing a video game because I don't know what else to do. I'm not like one of these Zoomers on the other channels I see on YouTube, which I like. I like those channels, like Gerbert's Void and this one guy, Aaron. Nevermind. He's new. He's got like 14 subscribers right now. Anyway, I like those guys, but they're like 10 years younger than me. I turned 30 in almost in January. Still have most of my hair too. That's pretty lucky. If you have this much hair when you're 30 or you're about to turn 30, that's pretty lucky. A lot of guys are bald by the time they're 30. Anyway, I'm not trying to brag. I'm just kind of just pointing out. It's just the odds of me being bald were probably greater, or bald or like a lot worse than this were probably greater than having this. But anyway, yeah, American civilization will eventually end, and that will probably be a slow degradation, overwhelmed by mass immigration in 20 to and which will collapse most of the society in 20 to 30 years. Once that happens, most of the not indigenous like Native Americans, but most of the European Americans will move to like the Midwest mainly, which is where I live. Don't dox me or come after me. But most of them will come to the Midwest because that's where all the farming territory is. Not all of it, but most of it. And we'll just kind of stay up here and farm for ourselves and go to a much simpler time. Except for the cyberpunk fanatics who are going to be in digital AI, virtual reality or whatever. I've decided not to do that, even though I'll probably try out VR just to see what it's like once it becomes more developed. I don't know. I'm a Catholic, so I don't really believe in that stuff. And I was atheist for 10 years, all throughout my 20s. I was an atheist. Anyway, there's no excuse for being an atheist, in my opinion. It's just a way to justify sinning. In my opinion, it was a way to justify your sinful nature and hedonism in the West, especially. Anyway, in 20 to 30 years, when I'm an old man living in the Midwest, probably, because I'm probably not going anywhere. Uh, I'll either have passed on my genes or I won't. I feel kind of bad for these, not millennials, but Gen Z people, these Zoomers, because I don't know. I'm on the tail end of millennials, so I kind of understand it. Like, they don't have a lot of chance with women. Like, it's a 2-to-1 ratio with, like, women going after guys, like a smaller percentage of guys every year. And when I was 20, and I'm 29 right now, almost 30. When I was 20 or 19, I couldn't really find a woman to be with, but that wasn't exactly because there weren't women to be with. It's just because I don't know. They like social media was just starting to propagate itself, not propagate itself, but be propagated by people. And so there weren't as many like sluts or whores, I guess. There still were, obviously, but it wasn't like it is now. And I was, but there still were quite a few at that point, and that's a pretty brutal way to say it. But like, I just didn't want to be with somebody who would be unfaithful. And I was a Christian when I was 19, but I lost my faith for 10 years. Mostly, maybe not mostly, but somewhat because I just couldn't find a woman who had any values. And I learned very slowly over the last 10 years that you can't expect women to have values. You have to have values yourself and then instill them into your family. And if you don't do that over the generations, the values are lost. And a lot of these women grew up without values. And a lot of these men too, but a lot of the men realize that if they don't have these values, even if it's contrary to what's happening in society now, the degradation that I was talking about, if you don't have them, then you can't form a stable relationship with a woman and start a family, and then you'll be alone when you're old. Which you might be alone when you're old anyway, but you have to have those values anyways, because you're just better off. You're better off with those values than without them. And this might be maybe not another whole topic, but I wouldn't date like an Hispanic woman, because you'll be in like conflict with another race in 20 to 30 years time. And if you have mixed children, they're going to pick one side or the other, and you're going to be thrust into one culture over another, if I'm right about what will happen. So it's better to date like, I don't know, it's better, I probably can't even say this probably on YouTube. I haven't really made too many videos on YouTube, so I'm not used to censoring myself. But if you're Caucasian, you should probably date a Caucasian. And or even like a Japanese woman would be better than a Hispanic. At least if you live in America, like just somebody who can blend in somewhat. Because I know some people in the states that can't tell the difference between an Asian and a Caucasian. Sometimes, unless they're like really Asian, like their eyes are very slanted. But I mean, like if you date like a Japanese woman, your kids might come out like half white looking at least. That's my justification for liking Japanese women, but I would marry a Caucasian woman, but I'm not married to anybody right now, so I'm not gonna get into the topic of marriage too much. But if you marry an Hispanic, you're gonna be at like odds with. It's kind of like if you date a black woman right now, you might get involved with gang activity, and it's just not a good idea. I know somebody who got shot because they were dating a black woman and some black guys shot him over that. Or I'm assuming over that. Nobody ever really talked about it, but that's the main reason why I don't date interracially because I don't want to get involved with the any of the criminals who don't like race mixing and all that. I'm not like 100% against race mixing or whatever. I don't have a weird opinion about it. Uh, like my dad's a quarter Native American, so I'm 1/8 Native American, like Cherokee. I'm 1/8 Cherokee and like 7/8 Caucasian. But anyway, my main point was just maybe don't go with an Hispanic because it's just gonna be at odds with uh, your culture in 20 to 30 years because a new civilization will probably form after the collapse of this one, and I think it'll be a lot more religious. Maybe I shouldn't say don't date any Hispanics, but because a lot of them are Catholic too, so there might be some intermingling. But uh, yeah, I could be wrong. I could be wrong about that completely, but I would just imagine not to get married to them would be a good idea because they're a lot different than us. Uh, I shouldn't say us like we're like a big group or anything right now. Like we're divided as hell in this country, and I'm just some white guy talking to another white guy on a screen, and nobody cares about our problems. So I'm gonna get banned. But anyway, there might be some intermingling there because all the Hispanics are Catholic. It'll be 5 or 6 generations before they're not Catholic if they go into like virtual reality with an AI, and that's probably what will happen to most of them. I'm assuming, but maybe not. I think there will be like a section of society that's just religious, like a sphere that's away from technology. And then there will be like the cyberpunk technology world that you see in like Cyberpunk 2077, which seems cool but is really like fucked up and sort of disturbed when you think about it. Even just playing that game is just a little bit weird. It's like a leftist dystopia, which is what will happen in many of the cities, at least in the United States. Anyway, nothing against Hispanics. Actually, I speak Spanish actually, so I don't have like too much of a partial opinion about Hispanics. I just think it's a bad idea to date them because you might get yourself into some trouble. But then again, I like I don't know. I would probably date an Hispanic, just not if I not if not if I knew it would start like conflict with a family or something. Probably, maybe, but I don't know. You'd have to be not desperate, but like you'd have to be like you couldn't get somebody of your own race or whatever. Yeah, these glasses made me look really dumb. It just seems like a cop out for like starting a family with somebody who would be more suitable for you. But then again, there aren't that many women who are suitable, and there and like on Gerbert's Void channel, on Gerbert Void's channel, uh, he talks about uh, how there aren't as many like young women anymore, and in 10 years' time, it'll be even fewer young women. So I might have missed the train on that. Like I don't know, I might have had like gotten into a relationship when I was 20, as opposed to now. But I sort of subscribe. Like Gerbert also talks about like uh, I'm referring to Gerbert's Void, the channel. He also talks about how it's important, or what was I gonna say? I forgot what I was gonna say. Never mind. Never mind. Anyway, I completely forgot what I was gonna say. Maybe it wasn't important. Anyway, I would date an Hispanic woman, and nothing against Hispanics. I think they're really nice people normally, and they believe in God, and they seem like good people. But with all those immigrants coming in, like a lot of those guys are just. It's a lot of guys, and it's a lot of guys who don't seem that friendly. So if you date an Hispanic now, you might get into conflict with some of them, if you can imagine. That's the point I'm trying to make. And if there's too many of them in conflict with you, and don't get me wrong, like you can always fight them, but that's not a good idea. So it's good to be cautious. I think sometimes I'm too cautious, but yeah. So I guess this is just an introductory video to my opinions and thoughts about the future and thoughts about marriage, who you should marry if you can at all. And yeah. And you might originally think like you're just some dumb blonde-haired, blue-eyed white guy who's just I don't know, I'm not some like Nazi or anything, but I know there's a lot of Gen Z people who are like doomers instead of Zoomers. That's where they get the words from. Like Gen Z went to Zoomer because Generation Zeta to Zoomer to Doomer. Not some doomer who just completely agrees with the Holocaust or something. I actually don't believe in eugenics. I believe in Catholicism and God. I don't believe in rounding people up and shooting them or something. I don't think that's right. I'm very much for not suppressing, but uh, getting rid of your violent and perturbed tendencies. Maybe not perturbed. I mean, maybe that's not the right word, but yeah. Anyway. Also, I like that territory I was talking about earlier. After 20 to 30 years, I think most people are going to move to the Midwest of the United States. because immigration of third worlders from Mexico and further south will have pushed them up north because there's just too many to deal with, and it'll be a lot of fighting probably. Anyway, I'm so scatterbrained right now. I guess I just want to tell you to stay safe when that does happen, but it won't happen for another 20 or 30 years. Uh, Sorry, I'm moving my legs again. I'm wearing this old cut up shirt that I usually wear during the summertime, but it's really hot in the house, so which is good because it's winter. But it got really hot, so I just put this on. Taking a swig out of this Octavia cup. It's not a sponsorship. I only have 9 subscribers. But yeah. Anyway, that's sort of what I think is going to happen based on what I've read. And yeah. I'll probably just I'll probably just name this video predictions for the future, an overview or something. But yeah, the dating pool or whatever is for men is really skewed nowadays, and you're not going to be able to find a woman probably. So I have a better chance because I'm older. I know how to talk to people. I've had I don't know I've had 3 girlfriends for like my first girlfriend I had for 3 months. Second girlfriend I had for like 6 months, but it was a long term. And I ended up meeting her. We had sex, and then that was it. We got out of contact after that. After a while, uh, not that I didn't do a good job having sex with her. I don't know. She must have found somebody else. But yeah. And then the third one, another one I had for 3 months. That was it. And that's usually how they go. Actually, Gerbert actually talked about that too. He talked about how like most relationships, uh, they last for like 3 months, few months, and then they end. Which kind of blew my mind because I was like, yeah, that's exactly what happened to me throughout my 20s. And that was it. And then in between that, you're just uh, alone the entire time. So I can kind of understand where Gen Z is coming from. I'm on like the tail end of millennials. So I'm almost Gen Z, but I'm not. Sorry. I'm not like humping the air. I'm like moving my legs back and forth. Oh, yeah. I haven't gone to the gym in a while. I'm losing weight. I got really fat because I spent some time in the hospital, like 6 months, and I just ate a lot and didn't move very much. So now I'm just going on walks every day. That was like last year though. Anyway, uh, well, I'm gonna put on another shirt. These are my 2 favorite shirts. They're pretty simple. This black one I had when I went homeless for a while a few years ago. So I just always wear it now. Even in the summertime, I was wearing it, but yeah, I got really sweaty and I don't know. I didn't smell that bad though, because I don't know. It's pretty airy. Another thing, there's so much good food in America, but it's all like decadent. Like it's all too sweet or too not sugary, but too sweet, too scrumptious. It puts it's not easy to not gain weight if you eat a large amount of food or even like not that large amount of food. It's just like way too damn easy. Even the water I'm drinking right now from the tap is kind of sweet, which makes it taste really good, but I don't know what's in it. I guess some minerals. I don't know. I don't know how they make the water sweet. But I have a feeling I'm not supposed to be chugging sweet water. Like it's supposed to be like just sort of taste. It's probably supposed to taste good, but not like this. Anyway, hold on. I'm gonna get some water. Because water. God, I look fat. I'm kind of fat. I'm like 250 pounds, but I'm losing weight. I was at 270 pounds. I've got all these stretch marks on me that hopefully will go away. I never hit that point where I'll have like a flab that stays there though. I never hit like 300 pounds. Yeah, I'm not going to either. It's just when you spend like 6 months in a hospital and there's nothing to do except wait, and you can't exercise. Like yeah, you gain weight if you eat. I actually I actually ate quite a bit while I was in the hospital too. So I guess I could have cut back on that, but you want to keep your strength up. But I don't know. I couldn't really figure out. This is my third time being fat, and I've lost the weight each time, but it's been progressively worse. So this is my last time being fat. I got up to 210 the first time, 226 the second time, and then 270 this time. That's my last time. I'm going back down. I'm going down to 170 to 190. In that range. And my doc told me that I should be 160 because I'm 5'8". He said 160, 165. So I was just like maybe like 170 would be good for me. Because I don't want to be super skinny like I was throughout high school. Because I'm only 5'8". I don't want to be like a twink. No offense to Gerbert, who's the twink or whatever. He was. Not that I look fantastic right now or anything, but I don't know what I am. I'm not a twink, right? Anyway. Sorry. Move my legs again. Okay, anyway, I've been off topic for about like 5 minutes now. I don't know what to talk about. I'm just gonna kind of drone on a little bit. Not drone on, but just talk about one thing after another. My main concern is with VR. Like, I'm afraid I'll get sucked into it, but I don't think I will because I believe in God now, and heaven and hell, and being afraid of hell is very real. It definitely makes you more righteous. Not that I'm self righteous or something, but being afraid of hell is definitely healthy in my opinion. because I think it's probably real. It definitely is because of all the atrocities that can and do happen on Earth committed by people. Yeah. By the way, before I just mentioned that you shouldn't date an Hispanic or a black or a black person if you're white, just so you don't get like axed by like one of the guys from those groups. So, because it just gives them a reason. Like if there's one guy who liked that girl and you took her from him, like that's just one reason, and it might be enough to push one over the edge. So that's why I don't date outside of my race, except for like Japanese women, which I never have before. I just think it would be cool to date a Japanese woman. I don't know, but which would also piss off the Japanese. That would piss off the Japanese. So maybe I should date a Native American since I'm 1/8. It might be enough. I don't know. I feel like I have more options than like the 20-year-olds of this Gen Z era. It definitely feels like I have more options than they do. Maybe I don't though. I don't know. I remember there like my first year of university, I had like three girls interested in me. Not at the same time, but throughout the year. And like that slowly seemed to decline a little bit. But I don't. I've always had girls interested in me, but I've been alone a lot too. There just aren't that many situations where I find myself able to like not able, but like I'm able to talk to women. But there aren't that many situations presented, which is something that Gerbert also goes over. How he kind of cleared some stuff up for me, like how there's no community or something, which I didn't completely agree with. Like I thought there was some community because I go to church, so there's a community right there. Uh, or if you go out and go to a cafe, well, there's people from the community talking about stuff. But they're mostly older, which he pointed out, and I was like, yeah, that's pretty much true. Most of them are older, and yeah, so that's probably one of the main reasons why I can't find someone to chat it up with and wife up and marry. Another reason is that I was an atheist for 10 years and didn't believe in marriage, just to keep myself safe from divorce, from getting divorced. But I think I'd take the risk now just to have children so I'm not old. So I'm not old and alone. Because that's what happens if you don't have kids. You just end up alone, old, with maybe some friends, but like, yeah. I'm kind of lucky I have a brother so who married an Hispanic, which I don't think is too. She's a very far leftist Hispanic, though. It's not good. I always just try to calm her down, like when I see her posts on Facebook. I shouldn't say always. Like I've only done this like once or twice, but I would just say like, hey, maybe it's not be political. I don't know. Let's not make our lives about politics or something. But it's hard to argue because uh, I don't know. She wants immigration, and even if she even if she doesn't say she does, and obviously she does because she's Hispanic, and that's where the conflict can ensue later on. So I'm kind of worried about my brother, but yeah, I don't know. I can't exactly associate with her too much because in the future, when there's so many Hispanics, uh, I'm not gonna be able to. assimilate into the culture because I'll be an old man who lives in an entirely different time in a different place. Uh, so I don't know. My brother's not going to be able to assimilate into the culture either, and he'll have children with her eventually, probably. So I'll be their uncle, but I don't know. I just can't. I don't. I don't think it's a good idea to. I don't know. I'll just. I don't know what I'm gonna do once they have kids. I guess I'm just gonna show up to the family reunions and be kind and yeah. I still believe in God, so I think that God made everyone for a reason. I I wonder. I wonder what life's gonna be like for those kids. I don't know. I wonder if they'll have like, because my brother's like more Native American than I am. Like I look white, he looks sort of Native American but white. And I wonder if his kids are gonna. They'll probably look Hispanic and just you won't be able to tell very much. But I don't know. I should shut up. I'll probably have family reunions and I'll probably end up just having a great time. Ugh. It just ain't a good idea. It just ain't a good idea in the long term. But I don't blame him for getting married to somebody because uh, it ain't that easy to find somebody. He might not really understand that because he's pretty good looking. He's like 5'10", and he met her on a dating app. That's why I mentioned that he's 5'10", because if you're not like 5'10" on a dating app, or if you're under 5'10", like you don't get any matches. Where in real life you might get more matches than that. I'm just saying. But I'm not Gen Z. I'm not Gen Z either. So my brother's Gen Z. Didn't have a problem finding a wife. Uh, I've never had a problem eventually finding a girlfriend. Uh, I've just, over the years, I've been sort of picky because I know a lot of them aren't good for marriage. And you can kind of tell who when you get older. As you get older, you can kind of tell, is what I'm saying. And now that I'm in my, or not in my 30s, but now that I'm about to turn 30, a lot of those women who were maybe virgins when they were younger, some of them, they're not anymore. And there aren't that many younger women in their 20s who aren't, who match the criteria that maybe you're looking for. So that's why I say like it wouldn't be that bad to marry a Japanese woman because they're not as bad uh, when it comes to their virtues or whatever. But I don't speak Japanese. And I don't plan on learning Japanese either. I think the characters look kind of cool, but uh, yeah, I don't plan on learning Japanese, and she'd have to move to America. And I've heard that once they assimilate into American culture, they divorce you just like any Western woman would. But I'd still give it. I'd still risk it because you kind of got to think about it in a cost benefit risk no risk scenario. Like, yeah, you might have to pay alimony and child support, but you'd have a kid that cared about you maybe. And although you'd be poor, maybe you were already poor to begin with, or it'd still be worth it because you wouldn't be entirely alone when you get older. Because I can't imagine they're gonna make you pay until you drop dead. But they probably do though. I can't. I actually haven't checked into that. Like Like, do you just pay alimony and child support until you die, or or does something happen like the end of civilization before I don't know, but I do know that it would be a grim situation, but you'd still have uh, the progression of your family line, so it wouldn't be all bad. You could still see your kids on the weekends. They'd probably still call you dad, and you'd have some kind of care in the world. You wouldn't be completely alone, you know? So, anyway, I haven't given up all hope or anything for myself, but I'm a millennial, which it wasn't easy for millennials either, but these Gen Z people, they just seem like fucking desperate for, like, like these guys I see on YouTube. I like them. I like what they're saying. It's the way they say it. It's like dogged. You know, they're like dogged now. Like they're, and maybe I'm a little bit that way. Like, you know, just the way they talk. Like Gerbert, for example, is just like, and those raps he does beforehand. Like I don't know. It it's like dogged. You know, like Jesus Christ. Like he really needs. Like he'll find somebody eventually if he's. I don't know, but maybe he won't. Maybe that's why they're so dogged, because they're not sure they'll find somebody. And myself, I have like, I don't know. I always attract somebody, but I'm picky, so I stay alone. That's my main thing, is that I'm just picky. I think I could be wrong. I could be wrong about that. Maybe I don't have any options, but it seems like at least like a few women like me, no matter where I go. Anyway, I can't imagine that like Gerbert has nobody who likes him. He just probably can't find anybody who. I don't know. I don't know. I guess he can't find anybody. Like I don't know if they just don't strike up conversations with people ever, or like these other YouTubers who are Gen Z, who make videos, who seem like doomers or zoomers, who like don't who who kind of propagate that there's almost no hope for younger men to find anybody to reproduce with and start a family with, or at least have children with. I just don't know if I completely agree with it, because, and I'm in the Midwest, by the way, which is maybe like the best place you could be to find somebody. I'm not like that close to a city. Well, I live in one city, but even there's a lot of towns nearby that aren't like cities or anything. Uh, and the women aren't as picky as in like New York City or L.A. or Atlanta or yeah. So maybe that's why I'm not so dogged, I guess, searching for somebody. Sorry I keep laughing. It's just I try to keep a sense of humor. I feel like an old man just out of touch with the new generation. But I'm not totally out of touch, because now there aren't that many women to be with or whatever. I'm not in high school or college anymore, so can't meet women that way unless I went back to college. But then I could probably. But uh, yeah, I don't know. I didn't really agree with. There's not no community. There's still some community. It's just mostly old people, Yeah, which is what that's what I noticed the most too. It's mostly old people. I don't know where all the hot young women are, but I've run into a few. Just like I've noticed, if you go to like a cafe or something, like cafes have like a lot of women usually. So going to a cafe is not a bad idea. I just don't know how do you strike up a conversation with somebody at a cafe, especially if they're just sitting there waiting for somebody who's not you. And then you got like church. If you meet one person, you might meet another, which I haven't really done for a while, but I can imagine that could happen. There just aren't that many young people in church though, which is unfortunate. What else should I talk about? Oh, self improvement. Like another thing Gerbert goes over is self improvement and how it only works so much. Yeah, I guess I don't know. It does. I mean, the last girlfriend I had, which was 5 years ago, it's been a while. Uh, I was really like pretty fat when I met her, but I was also kind of muscular looking, so that could have helped. I'm naturally sort of like muscular, but yeah, sort of like kind of. So that helps. Even when I don't lift, I sort of look like I lift, or I at least look like I started lifting or something. As funny as that might sound. But I also used to lift pretty heavy weights too, and I got like a lot of women that way. Uh, Shamefully, when I was an atheist, but not the kind of women you want to marry. So at least at least I don't know. How dumb do I look with my glasses on? I definitely look a lot like nicer, like approachable. Like if you just sit there typing, I definitely look like approachable, but take my glasses off and I look a little bit less approachable, I think. Actually do sometimes wear my glasses when I want to seem like nice, just to, that might sound like psychopathic, but no, just to like give off like a nice, non-threatening vibe. Because I feel like wearing this black shirt gives off like a gangster vibe. But if I wear these glasses, it probably throws people off. Like, what the fuck is this guy? He's wearing like this crew, this like crew long sleeve black, whatever the hell this is, shirt with like these nice little glasses, and he looks nice. I don't know. Never really thought about it, but I'm looking at the camera right now. I'm like thinking about it. I'm like, I don't know. Doesn't even make sense to wear these glasses with this shirt, but I do. Anyway, I don't know. I don't know. I don't have a lot going for me right now. It just doesn't. It bothered me for about a week, and I kind of put it behind me. I prayed, and I put it behind myself. So for now, I'm just kind of cruising. When it comes to the work and date, dating department or whatever. But I don't know. I don't know. I think when it comes to attracting women, though, Like, I can't really do it on a dating app. I kind of can. I get a few matches. And if I lifted, I could probably do better on dating apps. And that's one way to meet women. Uh, but overall, yeah, I'm alone most of the time, like most men in Gen Z. That's why I kind of am focusing on those Gen Z channels right now. Like Aaron, Nevermind, and Gerber. Everybody knows Gerber. I think everybody knows Gerber because he kind of looks like the typical like Zoomer or Doomer cartoon that was drawn out like years ago. He sort of looks like that guy. So, and you might say to me like, "Hey, if you didn't wear your homeless shirt with a cut up tee, you might meet some women more often or whatever." I'm also not lying. Like I have, I don't have women interested right now or whatever. But like in college, I did. I don't know. Like I had women that would come up to me after class and start talking to me. But I used to lift weights too, so that probably attracted them. I was also sort of outgoing my first year of college, so that helped too. But I became very reclusive, and I don't know. I was just some depressed motherfucker. I was kind of a doomer before it was ever introduced to the internet. So maybe people saw me and drew a doomer picture. I doubt it, but yeah. There's also a few other channels, but I forget the names of the producers of those channels. They're all like Gen Z. They're like 20 years old, and they seem kind of not hopeless, but like they just like it seems like they've just given up, or they're confused and don't know what to do. Or there's this one guy. He seemed more apt on what to do or whatever. Like he lifted weights and looked pretty ripped. And I can't remember his name. Ollie, maybe? Is his name Ollie? I think his name was Ollie. Anyway, he seemed more apt on what to do, and he didn't give up very much. He didn't have very much of a give up doomer attitude. Neither do I, by the way. I just think it's going to take a long time for the dating pool to improve. It's just going to be a few guys make it out with wives and girlfriends and have children, and then we'll have a new civilization, and it'll be split into, and the world will be split into different civilizations, in my opinion. All kind of overseen by AI, except for the religious sphere. But even then, maybe that's overseen by AI in some way too. Hopefully not. I think. Anyway, I'm gonna end the video. Thanks for watching. Thanks. Sorry about my rants and long pauses. I just when I'm pausing, usually I'm thinking about what to say next. Anyway, later.